My name is Adrian Nantchev, and this channel is all about helping you become a remarkable entrepreneur. Now today, I am with Marley. How do you pronounce your name again? Marley? Marley.
It's Marley.
I am with Marley today, everyone. So please, Marley, tell the audience, tell the world who you are, what you believe in, what's your story, and what difference do you want to see in the world?
Well, thank you for having me. My name is Marley, and my company is Marley Baird Media. I support other businesses through social media, video marketing, business coaching, and help other businesses to be able to do it themselves, or they hire me to do it for them and be able to put their business on a platform to reach their audience. I'm very specific about the type of clients that I work with, that I choose to work with purpose-driven businesses. And my definition of that is people who are here to make a difference. And it doesn't have to be on a large scale. I'm not saying like cure cancer or end world hunger or anything like that, but even just a company that cares so deeply about their customers, and that shows through their company culture. Those are the kind of companies that I love to align myself with.
Oh yeah, definitely. Oddly enough, I was in a meeting, not a meeting today. I was in like a little. Okay, I was in this event today, and we're talking about in a business. What are the stakeholders? Who's most important in the business? And I straight away identified that number one, without any doubt, was the customer, because
100%.
When you put their needs firstly, if they're not willing to buy your product, if no one buys it and doesn't sell, then everything you do, the infrastructure, everything is for nothing. But also, their needs are always changing. What they want, what they desire, their needs are always changing, and you've got to keep up with that. And to be in the top dog, to be, number one, or to be in business, you've got to adapt and recognize what those needs are and provide and solve those needs. And if their needs are always changing, and you've got to be adaptable, and you've got to be focused purely on them, everything else is secondary and tertiary to the customer.
Absolutely. If you don't have customers, you don't have a business. And the best business strategy of all is a satisfied customer.
Yeah, definitely. But then, by your definition, what is a satisfied customer, and how do you achieve that?
For me, a satisfied customer is a customer who is, first of all, happy with the products and services that they're receiving, but also feels connected with the company or the business that they're receiving their products and services from, that they feel like they're involved in this company culture, that they're part of this community. And like the best kind of customers, your lifers, are the people who will rave about you to their friends and family. Like, think about when you have like a company that you love, how much you don't hesitate to recommend them. But if you don't like a company, like think of the companies you've had bad service from, you also have no problem warning your friends and family about those businesses. And I've heard it said that a satisfied customer will tell 5 friends, but a dissatisfied customer will tell 10.
Oh yeah, I've heard that as well. Oddly enough, I was on the phone to someone about an hour ago, and they're talking about a plumber. Are plumbers called plumbers in Canada, by the way?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, okay, right. So they have a plumber, and they paid them before they did any work, and there was no invoice. And this was like 2 weeks ago, and the plumber did not return them any phone calls. Said that to order some product in, some like hardware, and not heard anything from it. And they're a bit conscious that the plumber was a scam artist or not very reliable or something like that. And because he did that, I know about it. I heard this conversation on the phone being told to me, and because of that, what this character did, now, all the way in Canada, and who else ever is listening to this, now they know this person is not very good. So I'm telling like a few thousand already. So that's true.
Word of mouth spreads fast, whether it's good or bad.
Yes, and bad news spreads faster. Remember?
Yes.
But I think, however, my definition of a satisfied customer is a lot more simple and probably a bit naive. My definition is no complaints. If there's no complaints, no complaints to you, where's my product, or it's delayed, or some other stuff like that, then there's no problem. Because either they're satisfied or they're over the moon with it. And if they're over the moon with it, I will find out about it in one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
They'll tag me in Twitter or something like that, or they'll email me and say thanks a lot.
Totally.
Yeah, but I'm just curious though, with your customers, with the social media business, how are you getting the customers? Is it totally through referrals or like some sort of sales funnel? How does it work? Because how do you persuade someone to outsource or delegate the marketing on social media to somebody else?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the majority of it, and that's how my entire business was built, was word of mouth. That I didn't really intend to have the business that I have today. I was a dental hygienist, and I loved having other side jobs that I could use my creativity. And so in these side jobs and even in the dental office, I would be doing their website and their social media stuff just kind of on the side. And from there, the IT guy that was at our dental office said, "You're good at this. Can I refer you to some of my other clients?" And from there, just the referrals grew. I didn't even have a website or social media like for my business at this time. And just the referrals kept growing. And the biggest thing is do good work, provide value, and the people will come. And when you're doing it with a purpose for a genuine reason, the people will come. And so now I do put myself out there a little bit more to get clients, but the majority of it is still word of mouth. And I do have some sales funnels. A lot of them are more relationship funnels that I'm not necessarily going out saying, buy this product or join this membership. A lot of it is providing value and knowing that I'm doing it for a genuine reason. And the people who are interested often reach out to me, join my Facebook group, join a course, and I'm able to provide value and kind of bring them through a process to help them understand, do you want to do this yourself? I can help teach you how. Do you want to outsource it? I can also do that for you too, because I also think that business owners need to do what they do best and outsource the rest.
Oh yeah, delegate.
Delegate.
Yeah, I guess the business that I started about 2 years ago, which is ongoing now, is rather labour intensive. And it's rather restrictive, and so I'm trying to move away from that into essentially this podcast, this channel, to just shift and change, because it's so much more scalable, more leverageable, much more hands-off, much more cheaper as well. There's like overhead costs like down the drain. So what I say is, how can I do the work once but get paid forever? How can I set up the system or do something that allows me to like just create something, put it out in the world, and then it's monetized in one way or another, and then people find it, people consume it, people share it. So much more smart. And I also say, how can I be lazy but ambitious? How can I be ambitious to create this amazing thing, but I'm lazy enough to say, let's find the most efficient, leveraged, delegated, smartest way of just create just enough input to give me just precisely what I'm after, just the minimum amount of energy needed to get that. And
be able to give you that work-life balance. Like, I appreciate the hustlers out there, but I also want to have a really good life where I get to have fun and I get to go on vacation and I get to check my email without having anxiety of all the requests coming in. And systems and processes are so important for that. And I'm always kind of growing my processes because I have a team. I don't do it alone. And over time, I've realized that some of these tasks that I'm doing are simpler and could be outsourced. I could have my assistant do it. I could have another person do it so that I can move on to the tasks that are going to keep growing the business and be able to provide more value. Because if I'm just doing it myself, there's a ceiling, there's a limit. I can't reach all the people and make as big of an impact if I'm still doing some of these simpler tasks. But if I can create a process and be able to hire people on my team, not only am I creating an impact by being able to hire people to join my team, which I think that I'm a nice person to work for, and I love having fun with my team and being able to provide them a good lifestyle through working for my company, but then also to be able to have more clients to make differences for their businesses and be able to provide more education for the people who want to learn it themselves. So I just keep going back to, how can I make a bigger impact with the time and the resources I have without killing myself, without hustling till I'm exhausted.
Yeah, and speaking of impact and process and team, what are you working on now? You know, what's the big project or anything significant or world-shattering? What are you working on now?
Well, I wouldn't say world shattering, but I mean,
Well,
it only takes one person to be able to change their world. So, what I'm working on right now is I'm creating a membership to teach other business owners how to do their social media themselves, because absolutely not all businesses have thousands of dollars to be able to outsource to a high level social media manager. So I'm creating a membership program where there's going to be new trainings out every month and Q&As and hot seats, and being able to workshop with them how they can create their processes and how they can do things themselves, and to also be smart about their time. Like, you can create 60 days of content in 8 hours. It doesn't have to be this grind of a thing where you're sitting in front of your computer banging your head against the wall thinking, what am I going to post today? And I'm also putting out a course on YouTube and being able to organically reach a new audience through YouTube.
Yeah, I think as a quick side note, for a business model, I think subscriptions are a damn good way of keeping a business afloat. Essentially getting people to pay you £10, £100 a month. That way it shows reliable cash flow and consistent cash flow into the company, which is very healthy. It's like a blood flow. The more there is, the healthier the business is.
Right, and as long as it's still providing a value for them that, if they get what they need in month one, they're not going to continue paying it. But the more you continue to nurture them and to continue providing value, you got to keep showing up. I don't believe that there's such a thing as set it and forget it passive income. You're continuing to build the community that, I think it was Stu McLaren that says people come for the membership, but they stay for the community.
Oh, interesting. Membership.
They come for the content, but they stay for the community. That's what it is.
No, that's a good point. I agree with that. But also, I'm very curious. You said that it takes about 8 hours to create 60 days of content. Can you elaborate on that, please, a little bit?
Well, that's one of my processes that I'm going to be teaching. And basically, like a Coles Notes version of it, is that video content, of course, is my favorite. And I think that YouTube and video content on any platform is just so huge. I mean, think of how much content you scroll through on Facebook and how much time you spend on video compared to how much time you're spending reading or looking at a blog post. Online, mobile, everything is shifting to video right now. So part of my process is creating a video and then breaking down that video into so many different types of bite-sized content that you can use for everything else, and putting together a process and strategy that you can bang out 2 months of content in a day.
Yeah, I agree. Putting it in the context of the platform. And what I want to do I want to get to that stage where I have a D-Rock following me around.
Yes.
Maybe not follow me around, because I won't be in the airport and all the rest every day. Right. But certainly someone recording, because just capturing those authentic, genuine moments and then just pumping it out there on different platforms, because see, this podcast, this channel is all about becoming remarkable, and I believe that everyone has the potential to do something amazing with their life, and every now and then, so once a week certainly, there'll be these unique moments where I'm talking about something, or I'm thinking out loud, maybe even to myself, and it's like, this is not being captured, this is not being recorded, this needs to be shared, this is valuable stuff. Someone out in the world will find this of value, and that'll help to build reputation, build notoriety, help build trust. And you can definitely agree with me, Marley. Trust is invaluable these days.
Absolutely. Yeah. If people don't trust you, they won't buy from you. They won't follow you. That's the most important thing in a business strategy, is gaining trust from your audience.
Yeah. So
I was just going to say on D-Rock, I'm really curious what his life is like. That just for like a week, I would love to have a videographer follow D-Rock, like kind of turn the tables on things, just to see what his life is like.
What if it was Gary following him around with a camera?
Yeah, just turn the tables.
Yeah. Earlier you said, by the way, speaking of Gary, you spoke that you worked with some celebrities, and you had some references from the very beginning. Can you elaborate on that a little bit, please?
Like to know who I've worked with?
Yeah, I think everyone wants to know who you work with. Yeah.
Okay, so I worked in radio and television, like right from the time I was out of high school. So from there, I got to go to a lot of concerts where we'd go backstage and meet people. And then I also worked for companies where we were putting on these events. So some of the people that we did events with were Vanilla Ice, Salt and Pepper, Bob Saget, Frank Sinatra Jr., the Jacksons. That was wonderful. That was a really exciting event because that was one of their first concerts after a 10-year hiatus. And then also for the speaking engagements, I had done events with Seth Godin, Randy Zuckerberg, Sally Hogshead, Robin Sharma, Scooter Braun, and they were like, I wish that I would have appreciated it more at the time. Like, of course, I was backstage and listening to all of them, but of course I'm working, so I'm also in work mode and not always able to watch 100%, but I appreciate personal development so much more now that it's just amazing that back then I had these opportunities to learn from them and meet them face to face. And I guess I took it for granted at the time that it's kind of cool to say now that I had worked with those people, but I wish I had the opportunity again. That would be nice.
Yeah, I'm just curious. What did you mean by you appreciate personal development more now? In what way?
Well, when I was working with those people, when I was at those companies, I was about 21 years old, so I was a little bit younger, and just didn't really spend a lot of time reading books and wanting to grow myself as a businesswoman and as a person with purpose and as a spiritual person. So it is a huge priority to me now to read books and to go to these personal development events and sit in an audience and learn from these people. Like personal development is the most valuable thing to me right now.
Yeah, I agree. I remember once, like 12, 15 years ago, 14 or something like that, I was in a bookstore and I just happened to see like a personal development section. And I thought, personal development, how funny or weird is that? How pathetic would you need to be in life to need like personal development? How pathetic would that be? And this is like, again, 15 years ago, so I was a completely different person back then. And I also remember in like 2008 or 9, coming across the 4-Hour Workweek randomly by Tim. And I was just
love him.
Yeah, and I was just thinking, what is this? It's like, yeah, just interesting concept. I remember, but I didn't buy it. I didn't read it. I maybe looked at the blurb, but it went nowhere. But then, 2014, that's one of the first books I read, and a lot of the principles in there I apply.
Yeah, I'm reading his Tools of Titans right now.
Yeah, I've heard that book. I was listening to one of his podcasts, or extra scenes kind of thing, and he mentions a lot. I've not read it myself, but he mentions a lot of cool things in that book. A lot of cool things, like an aggregate of all the different interviews he's taken. But
yeah, it's a massive book. It's like a textbook.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. As a side note, speaking of like social media and like building a community, Tim once talked about how like creating long form content is the way to go with building a community. Mm-hmm. Would you agree with that, or expand upon that? Just creating long form content, because I understand that the YouTube algorithm loves long form content, and I personally see it as that if you create long form content, if people were to read 50%, 80%, 100% of it, those people that read 50 to 100% of it, these people are much more dedicated and much more loyal fans that are likely to engage, comment, and share and subscribe your future content. What do you think to that?
What's the definition of long form content?
I want to say it's content that's based around the long tail, and it's potentially 800 to 2,500 words if it's a blog, whereas on YouTube it is 8 minutes plus. Right.
Okay. Well, I think first of all, storytelling in any type of content is huge, and being able to engage your audience with us. Like if you're a good storyteller, you will never go hungry, because people relate to people. And think of like even back when we were kids listening to bedtime stories, like we get so wrapped into a story, and you think of all the companies and the people that you follow is because you know their story, you know their why. And yeah, even if people only read 50 to 80% of it, they're still getting that value from it, and you're able to make that impact because you're able to reach them deeper.
Definitely. And speaking of books and storytelling, well, mostly books, are there any books on social media or marketing that you can recommend?
Well, I love Gary Vee, so ask ask Gary Vee, and his book Jab, Jab, Right Hook. I love that one because it's all about like providing value before you go for that ask. So I love that one. Yeah, that's one of my, like, that's like a social media Bible for business.
Oh, that's great. I haven't read that one. I've read Jab, Jab, Right Hook.
Mm-hmm.
Jab, 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 Right Hook even, and I think it was Crush It. I was reading that one as well.
Mm-hmm.
But that's really it. I haven't read any others.
Yeah, and Gary has the book Ask Gary Vee, and it's just a ton of content on social media, leadership, company culture. Like, it's a lot of business stuff in there, which is great.
Going back a bit, how you're saying that you can take different content and split it down into different contexts for different platforms. I think that book is a prime example of taking all this aggregate content, almost like the reverse. It's upcycling, really, taking all this content you've already got and packaging it in a different format for the same audience, but at the same time, the same audience will discover things that they have not come across before. There's a metric that I don't know. I think I might have created it or it's very obscure. What I call the cost of discovery, which is like opportunity cost, but kind of in reverse, where it's like you learn something that no one else has learned. So that cost you, say, take 10 hours to discover this lesson, and you're going to sell that lesson to the audience out there. And how can you justify that price tag? There's a few things, but I say the cost of discovery. It took me 10 hours to learn this, and I'm going to teach you this in 10 minutes. And I'm going to cut out all the mistakes I made and tell you what not to do and what to do. And I think that book, Ask Gary Vee, that's certainly that principle as well, as a side note, that principle of aggregating all that content is a really cool way to go. Really
Absolutely, and that's why it's so important too to be focused on your personal development and to read books and to find mentors because they've been through it before. Learn from their mistakes. Learn how they did it.
Yeah, find a mentor. Do you have a mentor at all?
I have 3.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I'm really lucky that. Well, first of all, I have invested like that. I am. It's so important to me to invest in mentorship and in courses. And I'm also very lucky that I have met people who are just so generous and want to mentor me, and that I have the opportunity to work alongside them, and that they believe in me and support me and help me in my growth.
Yeah, growth is very important. You always want to. The world is always changing. You always want to keep up to date, keep adapting, keep moving. Also, going back a little bit, you mentioned that storytellers, they never go hungry.
Yeah.
Can you expand upon that a little bit, as well as what kind of tips could you give, advice on storytelling and fiction, or in the context of fiction, or in the context of like story arcs or anything like that?
Well, I think that I said, if you're a good storyteller, you never go hungry, because that's how you really get your audience to know, like, and trust you. We think of people like Tony Robbins. I love him. He's a wonderful human being. We know his purpose. We know his why. We know that he didn't come from a rich upbringing. He was definitely living in poverty. He had an abusive mother, and he overcame that and became the man he is today. And he has such a huge purpose to give back to others. He has his charity that feeds people, and that he never wants anyone to go hungry. And he does these incredible speaking engagements and conferences that just change people's lives. And we know his story, so it makes us connect to him because we see where he came from. And people that we often want to know, where did they come from? What's their story? How did they become who they are today? And so when you can get people to relate to you, because maybe someone who's reading Tony Robbins' story connects because they say, well, I grew up in poverty too, or I had an abusive parent, and look at how he changed his life and how he became this person he is today. If he can do it, maybe I can do it. And even just by creating that attractive character, your marketing is so much easier to create the strategy and the copywriting because you've created this story through this attractive character that people are connecting to.
So how do you think that how someone can embed their story into the content that they create on a daily basis?
Mm-hmm. And that's funny because it's actually something that I'm really working with some of my coaching students on, is asking them, what's your why? And you ask someone that and they're like, well, because like I like to do what I do, like I'm passionate about it. Okay, but why? Like, why do you do what you do? What does it give you? How does this support you? Why do you want to do these things? And it can be a tough question to really look inside yourself and discover what's your why and why do you do this? And to go back and understand what is your story that brought you to where you are today? And like, even going back to mine, like I could think to myself that it's actually really not that interesting. I mean, I came out of high school and didn't know what I wanted to do. So I went into dental hygiene because I thought it would be like a good backup plan until I figured out what I really wanted to do. But in the meantime, I was doing all these other things. And that's where the story comes into play, that, yeah, I lived my life. And because I went through it every day, it's nothing too special to me, but to share that story with someone else, you might be able to impact them and make them believe, well, if they did it, maybe I can do it too. And maybe I can follow that same path and have a similar outcome, because that's my goal. That's where I want to get to where this person is. And often I've also been asked, like, well, I don't know, like people don't want to hear my story. I don't know. And people make it too much about them. They think no one wants to know this. That's not true. And if you remove yourself from the equation and stop thinking, well, no, maybe it's conceited, or maybe people will judge me for sharing my story. Absolutely. There are haters. That's where they live. They're on the internet. Haters are on the internet. But there are also those people who need to hear your story. So if you have 100 people and 80 of them needed to hear your story and needed that impact that you're making, and maybe 20 of them are those people that they're on their own personal development journey and they don't get it yet, just ignore those 20 and know that you're making a difference for that 80. And maybe that's not the right ratio, depending on your content, but just understand that you're making a difference for the people who need it.
Yeah. And with regards to why would people care about you, in England, we have an old saying. I'm not quite sure how old it is. I've only heard about it very recently. Is any old rope. People will buy any old rope because, my business that I started a year ago sells gifts, very unique gifts. It is actually personalized messages written on potatoes. So like, happy birthday. Or, reminded me of you, stuff like that, or things like that, all sorts of funny jokes. And whenever I feel that this stuff isn't going to work, what I'm doing, I then think that if I can sell that kind of stuff, then I can certainly do this, or I can certainly create what I'm doing. And that saying epitomizes and means and demonstrates to me that any business model, depending on a few factors like the structure or the market or the pricing or attitude, or even the knowledge, that everything will work. Anything can work. People will buy anything, whether that's good or a bad thing, that people will buy anything. So when it comes to what you're doing, most of the stuff will work. It's just a case of getting it right, getting started and doing something. And I also believe that you mentioned haters. I think haters are inevitable, and also at the same time that you've got to have them, because haters means you're standing for something. Because if you don't stand for anything, you will fall for anything. Mm-hmm. You've got to polarize the marketplace. You've got to polarize society, the community, people. Because when you polarize, it means that people love what you do, and people out there hate what you do. And those haters will talk about you behind your back, whether good or bad. But they're talking about you. That's word of mouth.
Yes.
You can't pay for that, but that's happening. And they're not doing much with it, but they're talking about you, and it's like, hey, it's happening. And the people that love you, they're the people that also at the same time trust you. Whenever you create something new, for example, video or book or a program or whatever, they'll join the community, they'll sign up, they will follow you. They will follow you the moment you upload something. And reiterating again, that is immensely valuable in business these days. Mm-hmm. And also, with regards to put yourself in the equation, it's worth understanding that your life, your experiences, your journey, your adventure up to this point gives you credibility. It gives you authority. It gives you experience. It means that you have the right to talk about it because you've experienced it. And there are other people out there that have not experienced it, but they will pay top dollar to know the lessons or know the experience or what happened from you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. What do you think to them? Polarizing the market. What do you think? What's your thoughts?
Well, yeah, and I mean this is why personal development is so huge, is because people want to learn from people who are doing it. I had a teacher once say to me, "If you want to make money, stand next to it." And he might have had the wrong opinion because it might not be the way that I would word it, because I think I've tried to establish in this podcast that for me, my purpose is not about making money, but I understand the saying that it's like, if you want to get to that level, know someone who's already on that level, who has been there, who has walked that walk, who you can learn from so that you can also join them on that level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Because you're the average of the 5 people that you hang around with.
Oh, I love that phrase.
Yeah, everyone should understand that.
It makes you really take accountability for who's in your life.
Yeah, if you hang around with 5 poor people, not necessarily monetary, but like spiritually, mentally, or ambition-wise, they're lacking in that, poor in ambition, you're going to be the 6th, unfortunately.
You're going to be the next one. And the opposite, if you have 5 millionaire friends, and again, this doesn't have to be about money, you're going to be the next one.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but it's very accurate. Because habits spread, habits and attitudes.
Yeah.
But what is next for you, Marley? What's next for you?
What's next? Well, I kind of mentioned like building out processes and systems in my team so that I have an excellent team of people who are working with me to provide excellent service for our clients, and whether that's clients that we're providing services for, or being able to make a bigger impact with who we can teach through our membership program, through online courses, and to have that work-life balance, because I know what it's like to work 12, 16, 18 hours a day and just be so exhausted, and for what? Like, work is what's that saying? Carson Tate says this. It's work is infinite. Life is finite.
Work is infinite. Life is finite. That's a good one. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
There will always be work, but at the end of your life, you're not going to say, I wish I didn't take that vacation. I wish I would have stayed at the office longer and missed my family dinners. You're never going to regret having a life, nurturing your family and friends, having good relationships. So it's really important to me that I have that in my life, and that I create that for my team, and be able to provide that for my clients too.
Yeah, and as we begin to wrap this up, you mentioned life, and on your deathbed you wouldn't be wishing you worked 1 extra hour. as of lately, the past few days, certainly the past few hours, I've been thinking a lot about doing like a digital nomad kind of life, because everything I'm doing is all online. You know, I'm using other platforms, leveraging Amazon, leveraging YouTube, leveraging etc. And all the hardware is very basic: microphone, headphones, stuff like that, camera, blah blah. But it's like all I really need is internet connection. So I could do all this stuff, leverage it well, create bulk content, virtual assistant or some an arrangement, something like that, and live in live in Cayman Islands, Mexico, Cambodia, south of Spain, all sorts of places that are sunny all year round, exotic, not too long of a flight, and they speak English. And I think when you have that, when you do stuff like that, a digital nomad, all you really need is internet connection, and you can live anywhere in the world and do your own thing. And then at the same time, the beach, for example, is right around the corner. It's always sunny, and there's plenty of there's plenty of drink, plenty of people. What else do you want to do?
Yeah, that's a dream.
Yeah,
that's a dream come true. And that was one of the most exciting things for me when I realized that, hey, I can leave my career as a dental hygienist and do this, where I can do this from anywhere. And it was so exciting to me to not have to ask permission for my 2 weeks of vacation that I'm allowed per year, and to be able to go on vacation whenever I want, and have the flexibility to work from there. I actually took the entire month of April and traveled all of April, and still took care of business, took care of my clients, even got new clients, that the business was still growing no matter where I was. So it's an incredible time that we live in, that this is possible, that technology allows us to have these flexible lifestyles, and that's the way that I want to live.
Yeah, definitely. I think ideally everyone should be living the life that they want to live, and not living a life of quiet desperation, struggling, scared, and a few of the things that begin with S and all the rest. Who knows what else? Yeah. But Marley, what is the best way for the audience to get in touch with you?
My website is marleybairdmedia.com. My YouTube channel, I put out a weekly business and social media video training every Wednesday. So that's youtube.com/marleybairdmedia.
Cool. It was great having you on the show.
Thank you so much. Such a great chat with you.
Thanks a lot. Thank you very much. And ladies and gentlemen at home, if you haven't already, click on the subscribe button below and press the bell notification right next to it for the latest uploads, because this channel is all about helping you become a remarkable entrepreneur. So go out there today, and do something remarkable. How cool is that?